Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Million Dollar Body Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Palmer. And if you're here, it's probably because you're a high performer, entrepreneur, or business owner that's interested in maximizing your physique, finances, and family time using fitness and nutrition as force multipliers in your life. If you're not a part of the Facebook group already, go to N8, the number 8, not ATE, and number8 trainingsystems.com/group. That's where we stream these podcast episodes live every Tuesday. You can join in, ask questions, talk to us. There's a ton of cool stuff happening in the group as well as a lot of free resources and information. So go to na8trainingsystems.com/group to join us there. If you're already in the group and watching us live, we're so excited to have you because today we're going to be talking with the Matt Watkins, brand new $1 million body coach, about his journey and where he's come from in his life, and just like the power of fitness as it relates to health, wellness, relationships, financial success, just all of it. Matt, dude, so glad to have you on the podcast.
So glad to be here, Nate. I've been stressing this all week. Like, man, what am I going to talk about? And then I'm just like, you know what? Stop sweating the small stuff. Just be you.
And honestly, this would be a great podcast if we just like looked at each other for the entire time.
I know.
I'd still have a good time.
Gosh, I wish I still had my long locks. Like, I did full Britney Spears about a month ago, and I was like, all right, it's all coming off because I just wanted a fresh start on the do, and it was
probably 2008 Britney on us.
Yeah.
Wow. You cut off like 8 inches?
It's all part of the process. Oh no, I cut off, I don't know, probably about 2 feet.
Whoa, bro. Well, I guess there goes my idea of having man buns be kind of like the uniform for $1 Million Body. I got to come up with something else again. Maybe do Suns jerseys. One reason I'm so excited to chat today, Matt, is because you're joining us as one of the $1 Million Body coaches now. And if you've been I know you've been in the group for a while, but if you guys are watching this or listening to this for a while, you'll know that I am like a control freak in a lot of ways. And I don't like giving up autonomy or having other people do things. So just the fact that like we're on the same wavelength when it comes to so much of the stuff, we have a lot of interesting history together. Just makes me so pumped up to have you joining us. And I just can't wait for your expertise and to see you in the group and stuff like that. It's going to be so fun. So excited to see you. If you guys see Matt, if you guys want to give him a thumbs up, give him a wave, say what's up, make him feel really welcome as the newest coach on with us here. That'd be awesome. But Matt, can you kind of just let us in, like, tell us a little bit about your background? What makes you tick? Why are you so handsome? Just general stuff.
Mostly genetics. So a little bit of background on me. On the fitness side, gosh, going back as far as probably about 7 years old, I was blessed to have a father that put me in the martial arts industry. So that was kind of where my, I guess, foundation came from, of loving health and fitness, exercising, just having fun, just the whole deal. In my martial arts journey, going from a young Padawan, white belt, and then yellow belt, orange belt, purple, and just going through the steps, it taught me a lot about consistency. So over the course of time, I had the martial arts school. Come around that time when the economy was crashing, I kind of gave up on myself.
Just a quick aside, like, you not only worked through your own white, yellow, orange belt, but you actually ended up opening your own martial arts studio here in Arizona, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My first school was on Cooper and Elliott.
Cool.
It was a franchise under De Palma's Team USA. So if you guys, if you need a martial arts school to throw your kids into, that was a good, fun one. But yeah, that was one of my first schools. And then I was actually going to open up a second school out in Glendale. But things happened and I gave up on myself. And so through that journey, I ended up actually going into the fitness world, becoming doing fitness sales, personal training, teaching group fitness classes. And I really fell in love with the fitness industry. And that's where me and you met. I was, what was I, like the sales trainer back then for?
We just called you the guru.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, Matt, so I was like a lowly personal trainer. It was my first job. I was still figuring out what I wanted to do when I grew up. We were working at Fitness Works on Higley and Baseline, basically. And I was like, you know what a good personal trainer does a good personal trainer will take their clients and literally beat the shit out of them every single time they come in. And so I was having people like, I remember this one time, Matt, specifically, this is why I'm bringing it up, is I had this one client, female, a little overweight. I had her put a towel on the ground and put a 25-pound plate on it, and I had her push it back and forth in front of all the treadmills, thinking, you know what's going to be a good idea? Hard work. That never hurt anybody. And then like fast forward like 30 minutes, Matt comes up to me and goes, hey, yeah, so she doesn't want to train with you anymore. And I was like, what?
I remember that.
I'm a great trainer. And he's like, and I was like, well, like, give me some feedback. And he's like, her wrist hurts from doing a stupid exercise on the ground. So her low back hurts now from bending over. And he made her do it in front of all those people. And I was like, oh yeah, you're right about all those things. Oof. And that, I remember that stung to get that feedback from you, but I feel like that was very important to my development.
Wasn't she had to have been about 80 years old, right?
No.
No, I'm just choosing.
I was a bad trainer, not that bad.
So I was young, I was in shape, and just fitness was easy for me, right? It was just something that we did. And it was like a hangout. It was, like we went to the gym not only to see each other, have fun, but also get in shape. And the money just came. It was like we didn't even really have to work. Well, fast forward after that, when I left the fitness industry, I started doing other sales jobs. I went into home security sales. So this job over 6 years put a lot of hair on my chest because it made me realize a lot about myself. I would travel for 6 months out of the year, going, state to state, traveling 72 hours, to make it to Virginia and, to get there by the next day or the next 2 days, whatever the case was. And it was hard. It put a lot of, it was a character building job. Let's just put it that way.
Well, you didn't mention that it was a door-to-door sales job.
Yeah, it was straight up door to door. So the fun thing about door to door is there's two things that can happen. You can either get rich or you can die trying.
You can get beat up. Yeah.
There's no such thing as hourly when you're out there. It's straight commission. If you do it, you do it. If you don't, you're going home and you're trying to eat peanuts and top ramen and tuna, cans of tuna, getting creative. So that was a huge eye opener. And believe it or not, in the course of 2 years, I put on 80 pounds from when you saw me in the gym. I plumped up like a little balloon. I don't even think my face would have fit in this frame, back then in that moment. And it made me very self-aware. And then, come one day, I just made a decision that I was like, no more, no more. I think it's time. I think I've learned enough through being 80 pounds overweight. And I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like the way I looked, and I didn't like my personality, believe it or not, so it was a big game changer. So over, I want to say like 2016 is when I made the decision to say, you know what, it's time to change my mind, because I knew how to get healthy. I was in the gym, I was in martial arts. I knew exactly what to do, but there was something missing, and it was right here. It was those voices in my head.
I want to go back to kind of what you said about like you didn't like your personality. Can you explain a little bit more of like what that shift was like? What do you attribute that to? Like you shifted from like, you gained a lot of weight, right? So you were here and now you're here. What was the difference between the two Matt personalities?
Oh, man, it's always so hard to talk about yourself, right?
I like doing it. I like to talk about myself all the time.
I know that, and that's one of that leads to a good point, because the biggest thing was self-criticism. I was my own worst critic, and I just couldn't believe in myself. I was like, well, I used to be a martial artist. I used to be able to do backflips over my friends and kick people off of horses and spin nunchucks like there was no tomorrow. But that's just not me anymore. I can't do that. That was when I was young. That was the young Matt. That was the young Matt. And, over time of just listening to those voices in my head, I didn't like my personality. I didn't like those voices in my head keeping me from doing the things that I wanted to do. So I had to make a change, and I had to make a decision to say, okay, maybe it's time to learn a little bit about self-criticism, learn about the voices in my head. What am I doing that's keeping me from ultimately getting in shape? And so, the first thing I decided to do was say, I have a problem. The second thing that I decided to do would be like, okay, what's the next step? So I would dwell and I would, take notes, and I would study, and I was spending so much time trying to think of, how am I going to get myself back into that mental state I was before, when I was in the gym and when I was, teaching martial arts and when I was empowering so many lives. And then I was like, well, why don't you just do that for yourself? Why don't you just start loving yourself the way that you used to, back when you were 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old? It just came so easy. You didn't have to worry about, getting in shape when you were in that mindset. It was just organic, right? We had fun, and we got in shape, and it just came naturally. So I guess the thought process behind all of that is becoming aware of the voices in my head and overcoming self-criticism, by either asking for help or by saying, you know what, little buddy, you're good enough. You can do this. And what are you doing right now that your future self is going to be thankful for? I would have my eyes closed, and I'd be daydreaming about these things. And I'm going to be like, well, the first thing I'm going to do is open my eyes, and then I'm going to get out of bed, and then I'm going to go take a shower, and then I'm going to go to work, and then I'm just going to talk to people, and I'm going to have fun. And during that self-discovery phase, not only did I start making better choices, but those better choices ultimately led to better decision making in my jobs, saying, okay, well, I can work a little bit harder. I can go talk to this guy on his doorstep. I know I just got 50 no's in a row, and everybody hates me, and I'm in the neighborhood causing a ruckus. People are calling the cops on me because they don't know what I'm doing out there. But, I would do the self-talk. I'd be like, okay, I like myself. I love myself. I like myself. I love myself. I'm going to go talk to this guy. I'm going to go talk to this guy. And instead of letting all of that self-criticism cripple me, I used it as a beacon for, getting myself into a different, $1 million body mindset.
I like that a lot. So it sounds like you kind of adopted the idea of just treat yourself like the client, start working on yourself from that angle. I'm curious, were you doing any training or exercise or anything at the time, or was it purely mental focused at that point?
That's a good question. Okay, so it started out purely mental, right? We first have to make the decision to say, okay, I can do this. It's going to be easy. I have a good support system. I'm going to start collecting the dots, right? We talked about that. So I started collecting those dots, and then the fitness part of it came organically, because I was like, well, I'm just going to go for a walk to clear my mind. I'm going to pick up the dumbbells. I'm going to do a couple of lifts just to clear my mind. Instead of going to the bar, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to, make myself my meal plan that I already had planned for myself in the morning. I just started taking the appropriate steps to fix the root of the problem. And then the weight just started falling off.
It sounds like you honestly just had the opposite of the vicious cycle. You had the cycle where one good decision, one good choice led to another one, which led to another one, which made that next one easier, which made you fast forward, you've stacked up all these great choices, all this self-esteem, and lo and behold, the physical adaptations are following. Is that about right?
Yeah. And I guess the biggest thing that it helped me realize, which might help your clients, is don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to fail, because nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. I made mistakes this morning, that's just part of the process. But I didn't give up, you know, don't stop believing. I don't know if you can see Santa, but he exists. So,
what about
so it's just
like
believing in yourself and then using the resources, you know, not giving up, using the resources, and then asking for help.
I 100% agree, because if you want help with something that you've maybe never been able to be successful at, like if you're sitting there right now and you want, like, you have some questions about how to lose your 80 pounds or 40 pounds, and maybe you've done that roller coaster up and down, ask Matt, dude. This guy's been through it. He's lived that. You know, reach out to me. We've helped hundreds of clients get there. So like, and we're here to serve. So if there's something that you've never been able to do before, find the person who's done that at a high level and get their help, get them involved somehow. I also, I love what you said about, like, use your resources, use what's at your disposal. Like, maybe that's not like necessarily like hiring a coach or a trainer, but it's like having the friends or family around you that can be that support system. Go, like, I don't know if you're gardening, you like gardening, go ahead and grow some of your own food. What resources are available to you that you can start putting in place right now? So
Yeah.
I'm curious though, Matt, like, going back to kind of like the door-to-door sales. I love talking about door-to-door sales. I don't know if y'all ever told you about any of my stories, but what was it like, you know, as you're doing the door-to-door sales and you were gaining weight? Did you, like, because I feel like, you know, as you do it, you did it for 6 years, which means you have big old brass balls, obviously. So like, what happened to your sales skills as you gained weight, and what happened to them as you lost weight? And was there any difference in like your financial success, if that's not too impertinent to ask?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Okay, so I was on my upward climb. So, you know, I always think about like mental mindset, right? You know, having that $1 million mindset. My mindset was, I've got to chug 4 energy drinks in the morning if I'm going to get a sale, because I need the energy. I gotta go to the bar after work because I need to de-stress, and I need to have, you know, 24 bottles of, you know, whatever it is to, you know, get me through the night, to take a nap, to wake up in the morning, to have the caffeine, to do it all over again, just to, you know, have this vicious cycle of, and that's how the weight came on. Well, once I started changing the process of the way I thought, it actually reflected when I was out in the field. So, you know, a lot of times I would get down on myself. You know, you get 50 no's in a row and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go sit in the park. Maybe these guys are right. You know, maybe I just suck at life, and you know, and everything is just horrible, you know? So you go sit in the park and you just go think about life. And then it got to the point where, as I was going through this, you know, not only personal growth with the fitness and my finances, but it gave me that little voice in my head to say, you are good enough. Just get up and go talk to that person. You know, what's the first thing I got to do? Well, I got to get up, and then I just got to start walking over to that house. I got to knock on the door, and they answer. And then if they say no, then I say, okay, that was fun. You know, that's in the past, and I'm living in the now. And so now I'm going to go walk to the next door. And then I would organically run into the money. You know,
It might take me,
it might take me 15 doors, but, you know, all of a sudden you run into that little old lady that was like, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for you all day. Jesus must have sent you. Thank you so much. You know, we're living in South Chicago. My neighbors are getting broken into. This guy over here, he just got shot. This person over here, he just got broken into. I promise you these are true. And she's like, I've been so scared, and I've been waiting for somebody to come to give me this opportunity. And I'm like,
I'm not gonna help. Especially when you've been getting just shit on all day. Because when people say no to you door to door, they don't go, oh no, thanks, bro. Thanks for stopping by. Can I get you a granola bar? They go, no, get out of here. And they pull a gun out or let their dogs out. You know, people are ruthless
every other day.
Yeah.
So I just made the decision to stop treating myself like that. And then organically I would run into the money. I felt better. You know, instead of going to the bar, I stayed home, you know, doing research on area. Where did I want to go? And just that trickle effect ran me, you know, I didn't give up. So in not giving up, it led me to the gold. I always like to look at the picture of the little gold miner. You know, he's looking for gold. He's looking for the gold. He's looking for gold. Well, he gave up, but 6 inches on the other side of the wall, right? He was right there next to that golden nugget. Well, his buddy, he kept going. He found the nugget and he went out home and he bought himself a helicopter the next day. Whatever.
I love the helicopter ending of that story. I think they need to insert that one back in there. But dude, you're 100% right. And I think that like that mindset, like of like, maybe I don't have it all right. Maybe I'm not doing 100% right. Maybe I don't quite get the macros, but I'm trying and I'm not going to stop until I'm successful. That's that $1 million mindset. Like that's exactly what we're talking about here. Because I feel like there's a quote I like, and I say it at the end of a lot of podcasts, but I think it's a Babe Ruth quote where he says, "You just can't beat the man who never gives up." You know, like
Yeah.
because then there's no lose, there's no failure. It's only win or learn, and win or learn, win or learn. You fail forward into success, like you said. You run into the money. I like that. I'm going to say that more often. Yeah, you trying to run into the money, you got to keep moving forward.
That's how winning is done.
That's how winning is done. I remember one time I was sold books door to door in Ashtabula, Ohio, for a summer, between my sophomore and junior year of college. And one day I stopped to like sell some books to these people that weren't there on like a previous day. And this guy's behind my car on the phone, looking at my license plate. Happens all the time, right? People are like, "What do you do in my neighborhood?" I'm like, "I got a badge, look." And he's like, "No, you don't. You're a child molester." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I'm going to beat your ass." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And if you read my book, like I think I tell the story in there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Actually, I gotta get out of here." And he's like, "No, no, no, no." And he pushed me up against the car. I'm 19. I'm about 170 pounds, 6'4". And he just starts punching me in the face. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to die today. Today's the day when I die." And I'm not smiling. I'm crying at this point. And end up putting him off me, getting back in my car, driving to the police station. I'm like, "This guy beat me up." And they're like, I was like, "Can I file a report or something?" And they're like, "No, well, you're not really from around here." I was like, "Oh." And they're like, "If you want, we can stick you in the holding cell if you feel safer." And I was like, "Nah, bye." Drive to another town, start knocking on doors, because they said, they always they drove this into our heads. The answer is always behind the next door. So
yeah,
knocking on the door, "Mrs. Jones," and she's like, "What happened to you?" And I'm like, "I'm fine." I'm like, "You want to buy some books?" She's like, "Get out of here. You look horrible." Like 3 or 4 doors later, Matt, I shit you not, boop, police car pulls up behind me. They're like, "Do you have a permit?" I'm like, "Here it is." They're like, "That's for cognac. This is Kingstown. You can't sell here."
Oh,
man.
man.
The station put me in cuffs for selling books. I'm sitting there being like, "Guys, I'm having a really, really bad day. Can I just go somewhere, anywhere else besides here?" They eventually are like, "Okay, it's fine. We're not going to book you for this. Like, you're selling without a permit. Don't come back." They're like, "By the way, if you want to ride to your car, it's going to be an hour." I was like, "Bye." Walk my heavy ass book bag back. The whole time I'm like, "Stupid. Stop at Dairy Queen, eat a smoothie." I'm like, "Stupid." Go back to Conneaut, the first city I was in. Normally I would ask people if I could use their bathroom.
Yeah.
And because I'd be like, "Yo, can I just quick? I'm just kind of on a run. Can I pee real quick?" Didn't do that. So I went to a gas station, went inside, came back out. The dude who beat me up earlier is around my car with 3 other dudes, and they all have crowbars. They break all the windows in my car. I lock the door in the bathroom and I sit in there just so mad the whole rest, like just for an hour. And people are like, "Can you come out?" I'm like, go fuck yourself. Get out of here.
Have you ever?
But let me finish this. Almost there. Almost done. But the answer's behind the next door. Don't be a pussy. Don't give up. So I was like, "I'm just gonna go." And I knock on this one door. Don't stop believing. Santa Claus is watching. Don't stop believing. Go to this one
He
door.
works all year round.
Yeah, he doesn't take summers off like some people think. Knock on this one door, and the people just open the door. They go, come on in. And I'm like, "What's happening? Is now the time where I'm going to get some like trapped in your basement, like never seen again type situation?" And they're going to come in. They'll have dinner with us. And I just sit down, and they're like, "Here's like a pork chop. Here's some like vegetables. Here's like all this." I remember this specifically. They gave me a pork chop on paper plates, and like we eat, and then they go, "So what's up? Why are you here?" And I was like, "I just want you guys to buy some books." And they're like, "Okay, we'll have some books." And they bought all of my kids' books, 100% of like, so I made like a pretty decent commission that day for it being literally probably the worst day of my life. So I don't know what the moral of that story is. Don't stop believing, probably.
Yeah, and just keep going. You never know. The answer's probably behind the next door. You just got to keep walking.
You got to keep walking into the money. I'm sure you have stories that make that one even just pale in comparison, because you did it for 6 years, bro.
Yeah.
You have one you want to share with us? Anything come to mind?
Oh, have you ever had this? Okay, so this is what I thought of. So I go 3 days without making a sale, and that's kind of a big deal because your manager pushes on you. Oh, you got to get 2 to 3 sales a day, 2 to 3 sales a day. Well, it had been Monday 0, Tuesday 0, Wednesday 0.
And for anyone who's never done door-to-door sales, every day you miss a sale, the next day is harder because you're in your own head about it. You get commission
Mm-hmm.
breath, right? People understand that like you need to make a sale and they can feel it. So it's harder every single day.
Yeah, 100%. And on that fourth day, it was in the morning, so I felt good. I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting in this house. These guys like me. They have a. I was doing security, so they have a security system that's at a day. They're saying yes. They're just happy I'm there. Well, I'm sitting on the couch and the door knocks, and it's the police, and they're like, oh, we got a call about a suspicious man going through the neighborhood, talking about, and I'm like, no one here. And it just freaked the homeowners out. They freaked them out, and they're like, no, you got to go. And I'm like, but we were just, I mean, we were, but
That's paperwork.
I'm on the phone with the security company, just about ready to do the approval call to make sure everything's okay. And no, the cops kicked me out, and they're like, well, you got to leave. You got to get out of this neighborhood. This is no soliciting zone, which was okay.
Nebulous
And
at best. That's not a real rule.
I know. So I got down on myself, and I think I did. I went to the park. I thought about all of the things, and this is when I was on my upward climb. Because it's always going to be a journey on the upward climb. You're going to trip, and you're going to fall back down, and you're going to go back up, and then as long as you just keep making it to the top, you're eventually going to get there. But I can remember the sun was going down. The sun was going down, and I get into this house, and she's like, oh yeah, we were actually expecting you. We saw you walking around the neighborhood. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, and we also need a security system for my sister and my brother-in-law, and then we also need a security system for my parents because they need life alert. And then what I want you to do is tomorrow I want you to go over and talk to my neighbors 2 streets over. I finished the week with I think 10. I finished the week with 10. And so I went into Thursday, goose egg, and then I didn't stop. And then, ting. Finally, the slot machine was like, all right, you're due. We'll give it to you.
When she's like naming these people, are you just like,
Yeah, I'm like, are you sure? I mean, are you okay? I mean, once enough, but we're like, no, this is what we've been looking into this. Coming. We were actually thinking about going and buying this, online. And she's like, I'm so glad you came because this is going to be way cheaper than going on Amazon.
That's awesome, dude. That's an amazing story. Dude, that's just so exciting. I really feel like there's so many foundational things that apply to both fitness and finances, or fitness and business, right? And one of them, like we've been talking about this whole episode, is consistency. I think that's the thing that keeps coming up over and over again, is moving forward, answers behind the next door, like keep walking until you run into the money. Like there's no better euphemism for like fitness success than that as well, right? You can't, if you don't stop moving forward, if you don't stop trying things, if you don't stop prepping your food, and you don't let that one bad day get you down, or that one cheat meal, or that one time where you had 27 Bud Lights at a baseball game or something like that, and you're like, oh, got to screw it. Now you just got to keep trucking along. You can't lose. You can't be defeated.
That's exactly right. That was the biggest thing that was going through my mind, is a lot of times we want to give up, and then that cycles into the next 3 days, right? But if we keep going, the amount of progress that we can make in the next 3 days is going to trump any of that self-crippling, I better stay in bed, or, I'll start again on Monday. Let's start again right now.
Start again right now. I love it. And I freaking love that story about going into Thursday with a goose egg and walking out with 10 sales on the week. That's so rad. And I think that just epitomizes like the power of consistency, the power of taking that next step, the power of not letting that gold hide behind 6 inches of dirt because you just gave up.
Yep. I love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Matt. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing some stories and some wisdom with us. You have a hot take, anything like that's like that you just really like or want to talk about in terms of either fitness or business or financial success, anything like that?
I guess
Hot
I
take.
guess the
Hot
yeah, the
take.
biggest hot take would be don't give up, love yourself, and use your resources.
Love it, man. Dude, thank you so much for being with us today. Guys, if you see Matt in the group or he reached out to you, says hi, just say what's up to him. Reach out. Welcome into the squad. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. And we will talk to you very soon.